Hey guys, it's me Ola, and today I compare the BlackBerry PRIV with the DTEK50. Again, I will group this video into the outside and then into the inside of the devices. So let's begin with the outside. The PRIV and the DTEK50 are very different phones. Yes, they might share the same brand name, but other than that, they're very different. Of course, the obvious, the DTEK50 is an all-touch device, while the PRIV is also, but it also has the feature of a slide-out keyboard. The DTEK50 is a very slim device with an aluminum frame, and it's just very light and feels very premium in your hands. I really like the rubbery back that it has, and yeah, that makes it a very nice feeling phone. The BlackBerry PRIV, however, isn't made out of any aluminum or metal. It is just plastics. It also has a nice rubberized back. I just have a skin on it, but the rubberized back that it has, the glass weave back, is very comfortable, and it also feels very premium. The DTEK50 has a 5.2-inch Full HD display, which is not AMOLED. That just means it doesn't have the rich blacks and the nice whites, but it's still very bright, and I don't see any pixel on it. So it's enough. If you really need that good quality pixel density and display, you should go with the BlackBerry PRIV, because the BlackBerry PRIV has a 5.4-inch dual curved Quad HD display, which is AMOLED. So you are also able to save a bit of power with the AMOLED screen, because the color black are pixels that are showing the color black. Those pixels are actually turned off, and that enables the AMOLED display to have very deep blacks and also to save some power. However, the 5.4-inch display, which is dual curved, makes the PRIV kind of a big device, which you don't feel on the DTEK50. Yes, the DTEK50 is also a big device, but it just appears a bit smaller in your hands, where the PRIV is kind of big. Both phones feature front-facing speakers. The PRIV has a big grill on the front of the device, but only the left bottom side is a mono speaker. The DTEK50, however, has front and rear facing speakers, because it has speaker holes on the front and the back, so you can listen to music if the phone is facing down or if you have it facing towards you. And it's also a stereo speaker, because you have it on the top and the bottom, just like the HTC One M7 once had. Both phones feature quick charging with a micro USB port on the bottom, and they both have a 3.5mm headphone jack. The PRIV has it on the bottom and the DTEK50 has it on the top. So let's continue with the cameras. The DTEK50 has a 13-megapixel camera on the back and an 8-megapixel camera on the front, which is nice for BlackBerry, because the PRIV only has a 2-megapixel camera on the front, which is very disappointing for a phone like the PRIV that is playing in a quite high price range of about $600, and the DTEK50 just has a better camera on the front. But the BlackBerry PRIV has an 80-megapixel shooter on the back from Schneiderkreuznach, which is a German company they teamed up with, and that is quite a decent shooter, I think. What about the image quality? Well, you can decide on your own, because I shot some pictures with both phones and you can now see them side by side, so you can decide which one you like better. What I just noticed is that you can't get very near to objects with the BlackBerry PRIV, so the macro capabilities aren't that nice. It just doesn't want to focus, even though it could. And as you can see now, I was able to get very near with the DTEK50 and get a lot of detail and macro and a lot of bokeh, which I wasn't able to get with the BlackBerry PRIV. So if you do a lot of macro photography, maybe the DTEK50 is the better device for you. The BlackBerry PRIV's keyboard is nice, but it just isn't as good as the BlackBerry 10 keyboards were, like the Classics keyboard or the Q10 keyboard. But it's still nice if you have small hands, because it's quite narrow and it's a bit shallow, so the keys don't have that much travel, and it's not that clicky like the Classics were. But it does have some nice features. It's touch sensitive, so you can scroll with the keyboard. You can also flick some predictions from the keys on the keyboard. and you can swipe from right to left to delete a word you misspelled, which is a nice feature. The DTEK50 only has a virtual keyboard, but it's a very nice virtual keyboard. BlackBerry says it's the best in class keyboard, so of the Android virtual keyboards. And I can agree with that because it has such nice features. Yes, you can type like a normal keyboard, but you can also swipe, for example, from right to left to delete a word or flick up predictions that appear over the letters. And that is a nice feature that no other keyboard has. So let's continue with the inside of the devices, and let's start off with the battery. The BlackBerry PRIV has a 3410 mAh battery, while the DTEK50 only has a 2610 mAh battery. That sounds like a huge difference, but it isn't that much. When I'm using the BlackBerry PRIV heavily, I get around 15% at the end of the day, while with the BlackBerry DTEK50, when I'm using it heavily, I get around 4%, and sometimes I have to charge it up. So the BlackBerry PRIV's battery life is definitely bigger and better, but it's not that huge difference that you might think if you just refer to the numbers of the milliampere hours. So let's continue with some more technical stuff. So the DTEK50 has a Snapdragon 617 processor with 3 GB of RAM, and the PRIV has a better processor, I forgot its name, also with 3 GB of RAM, but I don't think that the name matters. I think it's the performance that matters, so we talk about that now. Let's start off with games. I personally don't play games, so I have to refer to some reviewers. They talked about the gameplay performance on those phones, and they say that the BlackBerry DTEK50 is stuttering with games that require very heavy performance, so it's not that good on the DTEK50, but it should be nice with the PRIV, so we have games covered. In everyday life, I think the processor of the DTEK50 is totally enough. You don't encounter much stutter or lag. I personally didn't encounter any lag, and it's the same with the PRIV. If you're just using them on a regular daily base without much heavy usage like games, then it's enough, and you don't notice much difference between them. Yes, maybe Spotify opens faster on the BlackBerry PRIV, somehow the hub opens faster on the DTEK50, but I don't know. If you need very heavy performance, I think it's obvious you should go with the BlackBerry PRIV. But if you're just doing everyday life with a bit of multitasking, maybe a banking app, social media services, and a lot of emails, then the DTEK50 is also enough. As I said, both have 3 GB of RAM, and that is nice for multitasking. I think the DTEK50 also performed very nice on multitasking, as well as the PRIV. That's all I can say about processors. Call quality on both phones is excellent. I didn't have any dropped calls. I think the speakers on both phones are nice, and you can hear your partner or your phoning partner very nicely. So that is also good. Both phones run the latest version of Android Marshmallow, and because it's a BlackBerry, it of course runs all the BlackBerry goodies like the security features with DTEK by BlackBerry, or all those nice apps like the BlackBerry Contacts, Calendar, Notes, and that is on both phones. So both phones have the same security features, so BlackBerry shouldn't only call the BlackBerry DTEK50 the safest Android phone in the world. The PRIV is actually also the safest Android phone in the world. But if you want to get specific with all those BlackBerry apps that those phones are running, I talked about that in the BlackBerry PRIV review and also in the DTEK50 hands-on. So if you want to check that out, you can click on those cards that appear in that corner or that corner, I don't know. And then you can look those videos up and yeah, judge for yourself. But those features are actually very nice. The BlackBerry PRIV, which is a very small thing, has that small charging line at the edge of the display if it's charging. The DTEK50 doesn't have that when the device is powered off because it's not an AMOLED screen and it would probably suck too much power. So that was the quick comparison between the BlackBerry PRIV and DTEK50. If you want to get a more specific hands-on on each of those devices or reviews, then check out the videos on my channel. I made a hands-on about the DTEK50 and a review on the BlackBerry PRIV. A review on the DTEK50 will follow very shortly, so check that out. And make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that review of the DTEK50. Also make sure you follow on all of my social medias, on Twitter where I post very interesting stuff, on Instagram where I currently post a lot of Instagram stories where you can get some behind the scenes footage of these recordings and my life. And also make sure you follow me on, where else can you follow me? On my BlackBerry Messenger channel, BlackBerry Messenger channel, BBM Channel. I also just started a BBM channel, and the pin to that channel is in the description below if you also want to check that out. Please make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. I love to read your comments. Make sure you give it a like, this video, and we'll see us in my next video. See you then, bye.